This presentation provides an overview of the Transportation Improvement Program, which I refer to as the TIP going forward, and the development of the 2023-2027 TIP multi-year program of projects. Let's start with answering the question, what is the TIP? The TIP identifies the timing and funding of all highway, bridge, transit, safety, and bicycle and pedestrian capital transportation projects scheduled for implementation in a planning area using federal transportation funds. The TIP reflects the priorities and direction of the planning area in the transportation planning process and is developed cooperatively by the SMTC and its member agencies. The TIP and the numerous projects it documents are consistent in some fashion with the SMTC's Long-Range Transportation Plan. The TIP is part of the area's effort to establish and maintain the planning process required by the federal government as a condition for the receipt of federal transportation funding. The programming of federal transportation funds begins at the federal level. Federal fund apportionments for several funding programs are provided to New York State. From the state level, planning targets by funding program are created that are distributed to New York State Department of Transportation's regional offices and then further adjusted for use within metropolitan planning areas. Once Metropolitan Planning Organization planning targets are identified, they are used to program capital projects via the TIP. Projects that receive federal transportation funds are then implemented by project sponsors such as SMTC member agencies and municipalities. The TIP is a reimbursement program, not a grant program, meaning project sponsors are required to first instance 100% of funding for either an individual project phase or bill. In most cases, project phases are shown in the TIP with an 80% federal share and a 20% local match. To assemble a full multi-year TIP, the programming of funds follows the steps of first identifying planning targets, followed by evaluating and selecting projects, making fiscal adjustments to ensure a fiscal constraint is achieved, and putting together a full financial plan depicting the federal, match to federal, and other funds used to support the operations and maintenance of the transportation system. With that quick intro to the TIP, let's go through the 23 through 27 TIP development process and some of the suggested funding highlights. The schedule for the 23-27 TIP began in February 22 when SMTC staff sent out a call for projects to all potential eligible sponsors in our planning area. The draft 23-27 TIP was released for public review and comment in July and is anticipated to receive SMTC Policy Committee adoption in August. To assist in the development process and overall maintenance of the TIP, the SMTC has an established Capital Projects Committee that consists of representation from New York State, Onondaga County, City of Syracuse, Centro, the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, and the Syracuse-Onondaga County Planning Agency. SMTC staff met several times with the Capital Projects Committee throughout the 23-27 TIP development. Most member agencies of the SMTC and any municipality with the SMTC's planning area can submit project proposals for the TIP. This includes the Transit Authority, counties, city, county, and village governments, and New York State. Private organizations may recommend project proposals if the project is sponsored by one of the eligible sponsors in which the project is located. It's important to note that the municipal sponsor must agree in writing that it will provide funding and maintenance for the proposed project. As previously noted, the TIP is a reimbursement program, and only those municipalities or government entities that can enter into a formal agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation can apply for federal transportation funding. Also, a TIP project proposal must be submitted by the sponsoring agency or municipality. Projects submitted during the project solicitation timeframe are reviewed for eligibility and then evaluated against the established goals, objectives, and performance measures in the SMTC's Long-Range Transportation Plan. The 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan has several goals, such as freight movement, safety, security, resiliency, multimodal accessibility and mobility, environment, energy conservation, reliability, preservation of existing infrastructure, and equity. Also, the capital projects in the TIP in some fashion relate to the United States Department of Transportation's national goals of safety, infrastructure condition, congestion reduction, system reliability, freight movement and economic viability, environmental sustainability, and reduction of project delivery delays. When considering what projects to submit for funding consideration, a road's functional classification is important. The use of federal transportation funds is limited to specific functionally classified roadways as shown in the table. Not every road is federal aid eligible. For paving projects, a road cannot have a functional classification of local or minor collector. For bridge projects, work can be on any public roadway, regardless of functional classification. This is also true for projects that may be safety focused. Once the call for projects closed, 56 applications were submitted requesting almost $166 million in federal funding assistance. After considering all cost and or schedule adjustments for existing projects that would have some funding programmed on the new TIP, there remained approximately $97 million from the planning targets for new projects, roughly $42 million from the Federal Highway Administration and $55 million from the Federal Transit Administration. Overall, the 23 through 27 TIP program of projects consists of 94 different projects, 53 existing and 41 new. A single project may have multiple project type activities involved, such as crosswalks, sidewalks, and or installation of bicycle lanes. However, for summary purposes, numbers are grouped by the project category the sponsors submitted. Following review, selection, and financial adjustments, a federal total of $1,679,833,000 is suggested for programming. 91% of the federal funds are programmed in New York State. This is because of the inclusion of 3 new I-81 community grid related projects that make up what the state refers to as Phase 2 of the I-81 Viaduct project. The 3 Phase 2 projects alone equate to almost a federal investment of $1.37 billion. Excluding the 3 Phase 2 projects, the fund percentages change to 16% Centro, 54% New York State, 18% Onondaga County, 11% Syracuse, and 1% to the Village of Solvay. Here we're showing all existing and new projects by the project type. 57% of all projects are programmed as bridge or paving projects, 29% paving, and 28% bridge. Other categories consist of 5% bike ped, 7% safety, 9% special, and 22% transit. If we're looking at dollars by project type, 93% of all federal funds are going to bridge and paving projects, 87% bridges, and 6% paving. The next several slides summarize dollars for each of the 6 project types. For bicycle and pedestrian projects, there are 5. In total, it equates to about $27.8 million. For bridge projects, there are 26 projects total. The dollar amount equates to roughly $1.73 billion. For category groupings, all I-81 Viaduct project contracts are categorized as bridge projects. For paving projects, we're suggesting 27 different projects, which total around $123.8 million. There are 7 suggested safety projects with a total of $34.6 million, 8 special projects with a total of around $26.2 million, lastly, 21 transit projects with a total amount of around $81.8 million. I mentioned a few times financial plan and fiscal constraint. One of the several requirements in developing a TIP is that it must include a financial plan and be fiscally constrained. A TIP financial plan demonstrates how the TIP can be implemented, indicates resources from public and private sources that are reasonably expected to be available to carry out the program, and identifies any innovative financing techniques to finance projects, programs, and strategies, if any are anticipated. The fiscal constraint portion of the TIP is comprised of funds from the Federal Highway and Federal Transit Administrations, along with sponsor match dollars to those federal funds. There are no private funds anticipated at this time. The draft fiscal constraint table shows anticipated funds and program values by fund source by year. Fiscal constraint is achieved in the draft program as the 4-year and 5-year columns are balanced. Collectively, the new 5-year program totals approximately $2.025 billion. Due to the programming of the 3 I-81 Phase 2 projects, this is the largest TIP in the SMTC's history. Thank you, and I hope you found this presentation informative. If you have any comments or questions on the TIP, please send them to tip@smtcmpo.org. SMTC staff will be holding a virtual office hour for the 23-27 TIP on Wednesday, August 3rd from 12:30 to 1:30. If interested in attending, please find the registration link available on the SMTC website at smtcmpo.org/news.